how to embrace the fact that they're meant to prosper. How do you control people who have immense power to know things? Well, you take away their financial ability to move through the world, then you can control them. But really, on a deeply cosmic level, there is nothing but limitless energy. And that limitlessness is part of who you are.
Hey, you guys, and welcome back to The Psychic Within. I am excited to welcome back to the podcast Lia Dunlap, the Oracle on Purpose. And today, invited her back here, not so she can tell you all about herself again, but I want to switch and have some really deep conversations about things in the psychic world, about things in real life, about things that you would like psychics to channel on and give you really accurate information so you get the inside scoop as to what's really going on, what you can do, how you can step into your life more powerfully, and how you can step in your business. So welcome back, Lia.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm so excited to be here. This is so amazing.
And I love the fact that I feel like we have really similar views on things, probably because we channel at least the same type of vibration of energy, as well as the experiences that we've had. And I know one of the things that we've had small conversations on, which I want to take it a little deeper, is the fact that seems to be this struggle, at least in the psychic healing energy community, to put money in the hands of psychics and to get psychics and energy workers and healers to actually make money. And I know, I don't want to speak for you, but I know you've done very well in your business, and your business has been around for a long time. And you don't see that very often. You don't see people who are using their psychic gifts and people who are using their energetic gifts and really making a lot of money. So I thought we could have a conversation today about this and do some, riffing on it, give some pointers for people to make more money, help them to understand why maybe they're not making money, and then even brings through some channeled guidance.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Cool. I love it. I think that, this is such a great topic in general, but I think specifically for people that have gifts of any kind, or, even whatever you're calling yourself now, let's say that, because I know you have a lot of people listening who are psychic, but also they're just kind of psychic curious. How's that?
Yeah.
And that can lead people to feel like because it's a gift, they shouldn't be charging for it. I think that's the first and most common phrase I hear from people when they're struggling with how to become prosperous, how to charge what they need to charge, and also like how to embrace the fact that they're meant to prosper.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really important topic, not just because, for the individuals, but I think as a society and as a whole, we need to lift and elevate people who are there to give guidance to the other leaders that are following the paths they're following, because that's a really important part of the psychic healers that are out there and the leaders that are out there, is to really be the guides to that higher vibration as you were talking about.
Yeah. And that's what it is. I think one of the things that I've seen, and I agree with you in the fact that a lot of people lean into that energy. It's a gift from God, so you should be sharing it with people. I actually had a woman message me the other day. I put some specials out there for special sessions. And she said, I thought these were going to be free. And I was like, no, ma'am, not free. And she's like, well, I'm struggling, and I would assume that you would help me because I'm struggling. And this is one of the things that we see is people expecting psychics to do things for free out of the goodness of their heart because they are connected with God, source, Mother Earth, whatever.
Right.
But one of the things that I also see with a lot of psychics is we hold this generational energy of like servitude. We hold this generational energy that money is bad. And the last thing that I think is a huge part that is preventing, and I don't know if you've seen this, but preventing people is they have this idea that, I work with energy and I work with source and God will provide.
Yes.
And it's not that I don't believe God will provide, but it's the way in which they understand God will provide.
Yeah, and I was just literally said, as you were talking, this generational dynamic of the corruption of money and the purity of the message.
Yeah.
Right? And how somehow that was intermingled moons ago, before we were all even here in this realm, that somehow to keep the message, the spiritual message clear, it had to be removed
Yes.
from the monetary. Here's the thing to me. I think we have to recognize that wherever that comes from, how many ever lineages ago it came from, it still came from humanity.
Yeah.
It didn't come from spirit. It didn't come from source. So it has to be looked for that from that lens of where we were at the time that was happening as humanity.
Yeah.
How do you control people who have immense power to know things? Well, you take away their financial ability to move through the world, then you can control them. And a lot of oracles, for example, were basically enslaved to the kings and queens that they served, right? So this idea of servitude, I think, is really powerful because it's not that we didn't need to express ourselves and share our insights. It's that what we had to share became scary for people, right? The ability to have that thought. I mean, even as myself, as a child, the things I knew about the people around me, that terrified them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That made me dangerous to them. And I would imagine that the same is true. And I do actually see that from her, that the same was true then. So it's not so much that the money itself was the problem.
Right.
It was the power of consciousness and intuition and insights that were being delivered that caused people to find a way to hold those individuals back.
I agree. And one of the things that I've seen, and a lot of people have asked me, and I'm curious what you see about this or what the Oracle says on this, is people will often say, I know, but psychic is like different. Not a lot of people are doing it. And I actually disagree. Because if you look at the energetics of it, I do truly believe that the people who have the most money and the most power across the world, they are totally tuned in. They understand energetics at a level that most people don't. And I do also believe it's one of the reasons that their power was taken away from psychics, not just the money aspect of it, but just like psychics are shunned or psychics aren't good, they're the devil's work, is because they also are connected the same way that the people in power are connected. And they understand the messages, they understand the power, they understand energetics, and they hold all of that. And there's like this avenue that they're preventing people from going down and putting different beliefs in people's heads because that is where the power is.
Absolutely. It's all about control, right?
Yeah.
It's really, I guess it's about control and power.
Right.
Right? Because the beauty of having connection to source is that you have freedom, true freedom. Because you're automatically being delivered the message for you in any given moment that can make your life its ultimate best. And to share that with others who aren't quite dialed into their own intuition, that's the gift.
Yeah.
Right? So people mistake it for like the gift is the thing. Instead, the gift is the giving, right? To share it out to people, that's the gift. But that does not mean that the gift shouldn't be monetized, that you shouldn't actually receive reward or benefit from it. There are a lot of talented people in the world who receive great amounts of money for the work that they do because they make people's lives better. They make them happier. They fulfill them in some way or another. So I think that it's about learning that piece, demystifying, as you said, why we think that it's okay that people that are psychic and call themselves psychic and truly stand in that they should be less than in anybody's eyes. And I definitely agree that the people that are most affluent know this quote unquote secret.
Yeah.
And I think actually when the secret came out, that was a piece of it that I was like, why isn't anybody talking about that? Like, why isn't anybody talking about the fact that part of the reason you're having these visualizations is because you are communicating with psychic entities to master what you want to manifest.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it. And the second thing, and I don't know how you deal with this with your clients, what you talk to them about, but one of the things that we also have separated, and it's not separate, is money and energetics. And people look at money and they think of it as this tool and it's like, I need it and it's scarce and it's not here and it's something I have to have. And they separate the energetic aspect from money. But in reality, money is just energy. It's just energy. And the people who work with energy the most profoundly they're connected to energy all day, they're communicating with energy, are the people that struggle to actually have money. It's the psychics and the healers and the energy workers who their main goal is to work with energy, yet they're not able to work with it when it comes to money.
Right. And I think it goes back to the idea like this, like the taboo of that, the money energetics.
Yeah.
Right. Even if they entertain the idea of money as energy, they still have all of this. They have this negative thought pattern around that energy.
Yeah.
Right. So I think to your point, if we really get true and real about it, when we say everything is energy, it doesn't matter whether it's money or it's things or it's people or it's expression. It just is. And so that getting to that place is where I take my clients to, is like, we reach the level of moving beyond it. I was talking to a client the other day. I said, this is like a quantum shift from where you were. So it's like teaching people in kindergarten, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s.
Right.
And then you go on to high school and you learn, okay, well, actually we can do more with that. But then you really get to the place where you understand like, oh, wait, no, this is like, quantum physics. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, wait, this is like calculus math. Like, okay, now I see, right? But it is about teaching people that if you are moving, acting, using energy, it doesn't matter what the energy looks like.
Right.
It's just energy. And so you can start to make your own connection with that in a much freer way than if you are labeling and judging what's good energy, bad energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do? I know when I'm working with clients who are struggling with money and worried about it and focusing on it and feeling like they no longer have psychic abilities or energetic abilities when it comes to money, I do some practices with healing and tapping them back in and understanding what are some things that you do with your clients, whether they're psychic or not, that helps them to be able to create that, release that fear and that disconnect that they have for money and create that powerful momentum of receiving?
I think one of the first things I'll do, depending on who the person is really, but I mean, no matter what, I think we all have knowing, right? So we can get them to a place of knowing, and then we can turn that knowing, right, into a bridge to the new knowing. And what I mean by that is I'll take my clients from what you thought you knew about this thing isn't true. Like if we sit calmly and talk about it, right, it might scare you, right? And the scaring and the fear or the worry you have about it isn't an actual fact. It's a worry. Right. It doesn't really actually exist. So if we were to look at what really is true, can we draw a bridge from that to where you want to be? That's usually the first one. That's like my babies. That's kindergarten, right? That's a baby step thing. For other clients, we tap right into the heart of it. Like, what is the new message we want to pull in? Because we get to call and claim whatever energetics we'd like. Mm-hmm. And so we play in the field of what are you calling in? And then because I am actually, a hypnotherapist, I have a system for them to like change their mindset. I'm like, look, you've had these thoughts for a long time. Mm-hmm. We don't actually have to dig in all the time, every time to find out why. We just need to change them. Mm-hmm. And if you know you need to change them, then here's some tools and techniques. So I have some tools and techniques for them to do that. But really, usually, just even in that conversation, energetically, they shift.
Yeah.
Right? It gives them the space to kind of open up to possibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I was with you earlier today, and you made a comment, and you said that you were talking about how clients receive cars, and their clients are just giving them gifts. And you were like, that's what we do in my world. I want you to share some of the successes that you've had, because I was like, wait, what?
Gosh.
You have clients that their clients are buying them cars? I'm going to sign up.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what some of the successes.
So in Limitless Life Club, we use all our tools in our toolbox, but really what it is, it's like, what is this limitless life you'd like? And so we do kind of challenge it. Like, let's take the limiters off. Like, what is the thing that would be like the craziest thing that you could do? And focus on that. Like, I don't like when I'm kind of tough. They love me, but I'm tough. And they'll come in and they'll say like, I want this thing. But first of all, we don't use that word in our sessions together. But what happened was like, one client, she needed a new car. And so she's like, I need a new car. Like her whole business like was out of her car because she was a cleaner at the time. And she's like, I can't clean houses. I can't do anything. This car is done. Well, I said, okay. So then that, just talk to me about what you want. The next week when we met, she had called her clients to tell them that she couldn't come. They asked why. She said, oh, because I don't have this car and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And he said, I have a car in the garage. It was a really, back then, like a nice BMW. He gave her the car.
That's amazing.
Like within a week of what we talked about.
Right.
The other day I had a client also just like what you're talking about here, was just feeling like this money thing, and we're working through it. And so we just clarified what the truth was. She got off the call. She sent me a message in Voxer, because my clients that work with me one-on-one have Voxer. And it said, I just got off of a call, opened up my email. And what we're talking about is she works in real estate and $1 million deals. And she wanted this moving up in her deals. And she said, and I just had someone referred me a $4 million deal.
That's amazing.
And then the other client someone gave her a car as well. It's just, what it is to me, it's just the idea that we don't have to keep holding ourselves back from what's possible because of what happened in the past.
Right.
Or the way it happened in the past. So as we play in that field, we see some pretty incredible things.
That's awesome. Yeah. I know when you said that this morning, I was like, wait, what? What are you guys doing over there? And it's also about letting go, being able to play in that field of energetics, but also trusting. Like, I know so many people that we've got to switch that idea of they know how it's going to come in. So when you know you need a car, you have this idea of, no, it has to happen a certain way, instead of being open to receive or being open to it happening in an entirely different way. And this is what I believe we mean when we let God do it, we let source do it, we let spirit do it. It doesn't mean you don't do the work. It means that you let the universe, you let source, spirit, God, whoever, show you and supply for you as you show up and do the work.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Please, let's all keep doing our work.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the thing too, like you said in the beginning. That's also part of that kind of, the idea that we need to be meek and we need to do all the, like, there's a level there that says we don't deserve, right? Yeah. So to me, when we see, like, well, if God wants me to have this, that's the one, right? That gets me.
Yeah.
I'm like, why wouldn't? God wants you to have all good things, right?
Right.
Okay.
Anything you want.
Anything you want. It's okay. So that to me is kind of that same vein of like, but the beauty of this is that as we are here, we are co-creative.
Yeah.
So we get to create. It's not that we have to. Some people are like, well, what do I have to? You get to be a part of this process. You get to show up and figure out what is it, as the person who's going to have the thing you want, what is it you need to change from where you are today?
Yeah.
And that just means stepping energetically into a different position, having a different attitude, maybe making some changes, but all of that, that's your work. The rest, yes, leave in the hands of those who have connection with everything.
Right.
Because all of that everything energy can come any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I love it. One of the things that I think, and I'd love your insight on this, I truly believe that the future is psychic. I talk about it all the time. It's my thing. I am committed to this. And I could share it in so many ways. And if the future is psychic, then that means that there has to be more money, more energy, more receiving, more power in the hands of healers and psychics and people using their soul gifts. So it's not just healers and psychics and it's intuitives. Anyone who's really tapped into what those soul gifts are, their purpose for being here. It is so important that those people learn to receive. Those people learn to, switch their beliefs, to heal their relationship with money, because I truly believe that there's so many things in our world that need to shift. The medical industry, more healers can step in and help people for guidance, more people stepping in and using psychic abilities and receiving that download that helps you to create the most beautiful life, that helps you to create ease and flow in your life. So for me, if there was more money in the hands of psychics, more money in the energy world, it could completely change our world. What do you see, and have you channeled with the Oracle about this?
Oh, I think the piece that always comes back to me, I agree most of that. And I think that the thing that it comes a little differently for me is I highlight the purpose piece. And I think it's because we have not evolved to a place yet that enough people would really embrace the idea of tapping into their psychic abilities from that perspective. I think the next evolutionary step is more people being on purpose.
Yep.
And I think that step ties them directly into that intuitive guidance. Because as you just said earlier, there's so many fantastic and successful people out there that are actually doing that. Side note, secret, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But because of that, it's become a part of that success formula. And as humans, we're at this place where we're evolving to a place where I think after COVID, especially, where people started recognizing like, oh, wait, it's not just about working anymore. It's not just about industry. It's about happiness and fulfillment. And now they're wandering around maybe a little bit in the desert still looking for what that looks like. But I think once they start going towards that beacon of purpose, then I think, yes, more and more people in humanity are going to start to elevate themselves in a level of knowing and trusting that intuition in a way that makes psychics and healers not only elevated, but commonplacely elevated. Like it's like, going to see a doctor or whatever.
Right.
However, I think that's also a turn of the wheel because there were days upon days before
when we did this,
when that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's kind of, it's like a cycle. And I think that's certainly where we're headed. And I think that getting people to the place where they're able to be happy and fulfilled and prosperous doing it, that's good work to do out there in the world, because you're right. Having them be able to be out and share their gifts that way really does make a difference.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are held back because they don't have the money.
Yeah.
Like they can't leave their 9 to 5 because they don't have that security of the money. People come to me all the time because they're like, I know I have a purpose, or I want to do my purpose, but I need to make money.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that,
there.
right?
That's it. That's the sentence right there. Like, yes, but that doesn't have to be a but.
Yeah, it gets to be
and I get to make money.
Yeah, and I believe that we are all here to fulfill our purpose. And if you're here to fulfill your purpose, it has to be supported. Yeah. It has to be supported. They just go hand in hand. Yeah. And so if more people could understand and tap in and lean into the support that they can get from the universe, the way in which they can receive, then more people can be sharing their purpose.
Absolutely. And more people then get to develop the skills to share that like more honestly and authentically. Then I agree with you. Then that becomes the new realm where people are just tapped into it.
Yeah. Well, I also have this belief that if you're tapped into your purpose and your soul gifts, then you are psychic, because the soul is energetic. And if you can hear your soul and you can follow your soul, you're connected to energy. If you're connected to energy, you're psychic. Psychic is simply being able to understand and communicate with energy. So if you're doing your soul purpose, you are absolutely tapped into the realm of psychic as well. Maybe not to the level at which I do it or the level at which you do it, but that's the thing is I do believe that there's so many different levels and it gets to look the way it's supposed to. And that first step is absolutely connecting to your soul. And when you're connected to your soul, your purpose literally flows.
Absolutely.
I freaking love it. What is something that you can leave the audience with in regard to abundance, money, wealth, putting that money back in those hands, or even just being able to trust themselves to step in to be able to receive that?
Recently I did a little session with my clients, and what O brought through was this vibration of remembrance. And I think for those of you who are watching and listening, there's a part of you already knows that source is limitless, that you are connected, that energy really does exist and moves through you, and that all you need to do is relax into it. Like you said, I think it's about trusting, but really on a deeply cosmic level, there is nothing but limitless energy. And that limitlessness is part of who you are. It's where you came from. So it's not like you have to go out and get it. You just have to be it. You just have to lean into it, embrace it, bathe in it, if you will, and let it move through you.
Yeah, I love that. So beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on here, for being
Thank
a
you so
part
much
of
for
this.
having me.
For
This was
having, I
amazing.
love having conversations with women who are on the same wavelength, have the same beliefs, and working towards the same goals. So absolutely freaking amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
You guys, if you are watching, please be sure to like and subscribe. Go check out Lia on her own show called The Oracle on Purpose. And I will catch you guys next time on The Psychic Within.